Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.
I'd say without a doubt it was the call of the week so far. I mean, it's only Tuesday, but the story we had today, we're talking about how do you get out of a situation where you farted and then somebody unsuspectingly creeps up behind you and you're both standing in your cloud. This guy who's an elevator repair guy was talking about how he was working at this high-rise in Miami. And they had video. This girl came to see her boyfriend. For whatever reason, inexplicably, drops her trousers and takes a huge dump right out front of the elevator, gets inside, goes up, sees her boyfriend. They come down together. When they open the door, they see the giant turd or turds that are sitting there, and she's just like, ugh, like, how disgusting. They actually were able to trace it back and realize it was this guy's girlfriend. They had to call him and be like going, hey, yeah, your girlfriend took a dump by the elevator. She's no longer allowed in our building.
What a psycho. She takes a dump, leaves, then acts appalled like some other animal did it. Right. What is her psyche? Does she have like that fishing mentality? She needs attention?
I think maybe what it was, maybe it just hit her. She had nowhere else to go, possibly. I don't know. That's the only thing I can possibly understand as an example, because I mean sometimes it does happen. You can't control it. You get that feeling. You're just like, oh my goodness, please not now.
Dude, the lobby, there's bathrooms in the lobby usually.
I don't know. It depends upon the building.
There's usually a bathroom
Depends upon the building. I don't know. Yeah, why would she do it? Is she just a turd terrorist? I have no idea.
To me, the way he told the story made it sound like she's a turd terrorist and that she didn't have poopy cramps.
Maybe.
She's a woman with issues that just had to, she's making her mark.
I'm fascinated. I'd like to know more to the story. That's one you'd be like, going, what's the rest of the story?
And that's just one story you know of.
Yeah.
Think about all the other crazy stories that are out there.
I'd like to know what is going on.
People pooping in weird places.
Victoria sent us his story, talking about this guy that she went on a date with about 5 years ago. His name was Rob, and she was trying to lose a couple pounds at the time, so she's staying away from carbs and a whole bunch of stuff. And they go to this nice restaurant, and the guy that she's on the date with starts ordering all this food. And, you know, it's kind of expensive stuff, and she's like, oh, man, I haven't eaten this stuff for a long time. She's like, you know, I kind of like this guy. He's got a cool car. Everything's going well so far. So she went on ahead and started eating some of the food. She said, I was eating, drinking, all this kind of stuff that I haven't had for a while. Then we went shopping for a little while, and this guy buys me a pair of expensive shoes that I kind of like made a comment about. I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, okay, this night's kind of blowing me away. So we're on the way back to my place, and we're driving home, this nice car, and all of a sudden I just get this shooting pain in my stomach. I'm like, oh my, what is it? You ever had that feeling where you're just like, it almost doubles you over? She's like, what's going on? Like, what is it? What's the cramping about? And then she realizes she's got a fart on deck. And she's like, oh, my gosh. So she's sitting there. I don't know if you've ever been in a car and you've had to fart or poop so badly. Did you kind of do that thing where you're almost like lifting yourself up off the seat, like that's going to make a difference? So she's holding it in, pain shooting through her stomach and down her legs. She's raising herself up in the seat, gripping the door and the dashboard. And he's like, you all right? What's going on? And he's like, do I need to take you to hospital? And she goes on to talk about how, no, I'm good. I'm just, I got. And then at that point, this fart starts to slowly eke out. She thinks she's okay because it's not loud, but then that second later, that one moment we were talking about earlier where you realize it smells god-awful. She said, I sat there silently, then I panicked, and I yelled, roll down the windows. He starts freaking out because I'm freaking out. He's like, I can't roll down the windows. They're locked. He's like, and she's like yelling at him, and he's trying to roll down the windows. So finally, he figures out the mechanism, rolls it down, and that's when she says it hit him. I could see it in his eyes. He said, oh, my God, I could taste it. He screamed, and then she said finally he was able to hit the control, roll down the windows. We both gulped for fresh air. Then we silently sat there for the rest of the way home. He pulled into my apartment. I said, okay, thanks for dinner. Sorry about the fart. Love the shoes. Ran to my apartment, got in there, ran to the bathroom, and then a second later, after I totally let go, I hear his voice. Hey, your door's open. You left your shoes in the car. Where do you want me to put them? She starts yelling at him. She said, finally, I heard the front door shut. He drives away. Just want to remind you that this happened 5 years ago. Now we're married. He's lying on the couch while I type this. He said, it was your rack that saved you. He just lovingly reminded me. So, first date fart, you can save it. There is hope. Somebody said that looked like I was farting on KVJ TV. I'm getting called out here.
Yeah, just your face. Sometimes when people freeze frame you have a farty face, depending on the position.
Yeah.
I won't let it get in your head.
Carlos said, I've got 2 screenshots for you. Don't try to deny it. We know you're game, Bronk. Virginia's lucky she wasn't in the studio. There's one. Claims that might be a fart shot. I don't know. I think I just kind of stare at the screen sometimes like that.
I've seen you have way worse.
And this one, he said, you even scared Denny's away. You can see him running away. That poor dude. And he claims that is a fart shot.
I've seen fart at your faces from you.
Yeah, I think so too. Sometimes you just have them. Yeah, I don't think it's a fart face, but people are watching. Got a late column out here from Megan. She said, hey, this is late and better suited for the After the Show podcast, but I'd love to call out my lady doctor. I tried to get my preferred method of birth control replaced, and she couldn't do it. I didn't have a single issue the first time. She made many unexplained comments that suggested I needed to be concerned about infertility. And during that appointment, I got a phone call to confirm an appointment that I had never made and have gotten numerous text messages since to confirm appointments I never made. Well, the day after that, the day before my birthday, mind you, I get a phone call. And on that phone call, they tell me that I got chlamydia. I've only been with one person for the last 4 years, so that means he cheated on me. So clearly I'm angry. But he was adamant he didn't cheat on me, and we both went to go get retested together. And guess what? We are both negative and don't have it.
Yeah, you know what? Always, I just read something. Now, I don't know how accurate it is, but they say anytime you get a diagnosis, always follow up with a second opinion, because there was some weird stat. It was crazy that like 50% of your diagnosis can be possibly wrong.
Wow.
And that they don't get them. It was some crazy stat like that.
But I mean, that horrifying feeling where you're like, oh my gosh, because I mean, that's not the first thing you're thinking. You're thinking that this is legit and I'm in some serious trouble.
Well, the good thing about chlamydia, it's curable, and you're able to move on with your life if you catch it quick enough. But I knew somebody who found out on a Friday, and I apologize if I've told this story before. They found out on a Friday that they had hepatitis C. So the entire weekend, they are just, distraught. On Monday, she calls up to get more details, and they start reading this person's chart again, and they go, hold on, who told you have hepatitis C? Now, they made a mistake. You do not have. Talk about getting it wrong and just fucking with somebody. That's your weekend.
But if you see that as a doctor, you've got to sit there and look, check, double check, triple check, quadruple check, because before you go in and drop the Hep C bomb on somebody, you got to make sure you're 100% right.
A lot of times, though, it's not the doctor reading out the diagnosis. The person, they
Whoever
had
Whoever
somebody.
you are, check the damn chart.
I hear you, man. But if you look into some of the research, there are so many stories about people getting misdiagnosed. You get so many stories of people getting operated on the wrong body part.
Yeah, I mean, they're only human. I get that, but I mean. And I assume, hopefully, they have a system of checks and balances, but they got to have more. I mean,
and if you tell somebody they have hepatitis C, you got to give them like free lollipops, free something. Give them something after that. A weekend, you're thinking you got that.
So anyway, she's calling out the doc for being beyond careless and injecting so much unnecessary stress and emotional chaos to my life. She said, luckily I was relatively cool with my boyfriend. Like I wasn't as angry as I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Her first thought was just to completely trash him and go off on a breakup with him and, burn the whole thing down.
Yeah,
and she's like, all right, well, let me give this a check just to see by chance. Could they possibly have gotten this wrong? I wouldn't think they would. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I pretty much 100% trust doctors. I'm like, I assume they're right. They're smarter than I am, right?
I used to, but I've even seen, like my hand, for example, my hand right here went through a window. And I needed to get serious surgery. When I went to the emergency room, they were stitching me up. And I remember feeling how they, when they numb you?
Yeah.
It didn't numb me completely. They stitch up half my hand. And then the nurse comes over and goes, we have to take out these stitches because the doctor just informed us you need surgery, not stitches. So they stitch up half my hand.
Oh, my gosh.
It wasn't even, it wasn't right.
I had a collapsed lung one time. I went in there and they had to get at it quickly because I was couldn't breathe. And so they take basically this spike and they go poof into my chest, and all I hear is whoops. I'm like, whoops? What do you mean? They missed the area where you have to go to let the air out of the lung, and they had to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to trash the medical community, but
I mean, they're human,
this stuff
but
does happen. Yeah, you're right. They're human.
If you're on the other end of a doctor's whoops, you're like, oh my gosh, not me.
Well, I just know, you ever wake up and have one of those days where you're just so sluggish? You're not even hungover. You just don't feel right.
Yeah.
But if you're a doctor and you've got brain surgery and you just feel off, I know days when I feel off.
Sure.
I don't even want to be bothered.
No, it's tough.
You got to go in there as a doctor or a surgeon and operate when you're not feeling good. If you know your doctor is slightly sick, a little under the weather, do you want to reschedule?
Yeah, I mean, I want to make sure that they're dead on, but yeah, sometimes, I mean, they're in a situation where you don't have that option.
Yeah, what if they're going through shit with their woman and they're all distraught mentally? You got to put that shit aside.
A lot of times, that's the kind of stuff that happens. So, yeah, what do you do? Somebody did some digging. We were talking about our mug shots. I got one. Virginia's got one. Denny's got one. Somebody couldn't find the mugshot, but they did find my arrest record.
I can find your arrest. I have found that before.
Yeah.
Kevin, it's under Kevin Lee Ralston.
November 16th of 1994. I was booked at 2 a.m.
And it's for something like, I remember reading the act.
It was drunk and disorderly, but
there's disorderly on there, yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if they actually have that. Offense description. No, they don't list that. But then I was released at 9 a.m. They have that. Height, all that kind of stuff they've got.
There's one that does have you. It's got the crime on there. I remember reading it.
Let me see if this says this. No, it says booked. But they've got it as Sandusky County, Ohio. That wasn't Sandusky County. That's the weird thing about it. I was booked into, I should have been Athens County, Ohio.
That was when you beat up the newspaper stand?
Yeah, I came out of the bar 2 a.m. Had just gotten done doing a shot. And I think I was telling the story because what had happened to me was, I was in Taekwondo, all that kind of stuff. And I was just talking about the collapsed lung. I got that from Taekwondo.
Full circle, baby.
Had to quit Taekwondo. Came out of the bar, I'm like, well, but I still got my sidekick. And somebody's like going, oh, yeah. And I'm like, watch this. And there was a newspaper stand box, which you don't have hardly anymore. Did a sidekick and launched it into the street. I'm like, see, it was kind of impressive, wasn't it? We were walking down the street. Undercover cop had seen it, radioed ahead. I'm just walking with my friends. Guy comes up, grabs me by the arm. He's like, all right, you're coming with me. I'm like, why? And he's like, you kicked a newspaper box into the street back there, smart guy. I was like, yeah, but it's like, I was intimidated. It scared me.
How many times did you say you've been approached or pulled over by an undercover cop? I've got at least 3 times where a cop that didn't look like a cop comes up and says, what are you guys doing or what's going on?
Yeah, I've had several times. I've been approached, probably about 5. Yeah, different things. I mean, from parking in a car to
I got pulled over one time for suspicious driving. I was driving around this neighborhood, and I went around the block. It was a really small block, and I went around 4 times. And what I was listening to a song that I liked, and I didn't want to park at my friend's house.
You wanted to keep going.
Yeah, and the cops pulled us over, and they're like, "What are you driving around like that so often?" I'm like, "Well, I'm just trying to." He cited me for suspicious driving. I actually got a form for suspicious driving.
That's a crime. You had to pay a ticket.
I
or
didn't have to pay a ticket, but
just a warning.
I had a warning of it.
Maybe they thought you possibly were like really stalking somebody.
Who knows?
And then they thought that,
Yeah, can officers just make up shit if they pull you over? Well, we pulled you over for, weird looking tires on a Monday. Like, do they have a code word they can, if they want to?
Yeah, they try to develop what it is called probable cause. And so that's kind of what it is. They want to have an excuse to try to check for something else. So that's what they're, it's something like if you got a taillight out, that's probable cause to pull you over. And they're like, well, we suspect maybe he's got something else in there, and it opens the door for us to check further.
So if you have a taillight out, does that give them the right at that point to search your car?
No, that's still a legal search and seizure. There has to be something to give them probable cause to go in. Now, if they pull you over for a taillight and they smell weed, marijuana smoke, or they smell alcohol in your breath, or your eyes look bloodshot, then that gives them probable cause to.
But couldn't an officer, even if they don't smell weed, I'm sure in the history of police officers, they didn't smell weed and they go,
Oh, sure, yeah,
I
no,
smell
I mean-
weed, probable cause, let me search your car.
Yeah, no, crooked cops and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, you go into that. I mean, it's unbelievable. If you wanted to look at the injustices that police officers have done, but no,
So
legally, if they're doing their job correctly, no, you can't do that without.
But if an officer does pull you over, and let's just say that it was for suspicious driving or something like that,
Yeah.
and they go, I smell weed. At that point now, that in their opinion, that is probable cause to search that car. If they
Yep,
say
it is.
Wow,
Yeah,
man.
if they've got smell, then yeah, they've got.
There's that one bush by Howell Watkins. I don't know. I mean, not everyone's going to know where that's at. It's in Palm Beach Gardens. It's a middle school. And then when you drive by there's a type of bush where it smells like 90 people are smoking weed. Could
Yeah.
a cop not smell that and say that's probable cause?
Well, yeah, I mean they could, but I mean I think it
I'm just
depends
wondering
upon
the rules
area.
here.
Yeah.
I don't know the laws and all that. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, but they got to have something. I think they have to state it too. It's okay. Why did you pull this person over? Because yeah, you can get somebody like that.
Got ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to bash the police officers here, but I mean, I just know in the history of police officers, without a doubt, I smell weed when they may not have smelled weed. That's had to have happened.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely has. I mean, just look at the wisdom of Jay-Z and 99 Problems.
Yeah, no, you're right.
He talks about the whole thing.
You're right.
Yeah. The lyrics say, "Are you carrying a weapon on you? I know a lot of you are. I ain't stepping out of shit. All my papers legit. What do you mind if I look around the car a little bit? Well, my glove compartment's locked. So is the trunk in the back. And I know my rights, so you're going to need a warrant for that."
Yep.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Got 99 problems, but the bitch ain't one. Hit me. Yeah, so, yeah, I think that was my final arrest. That was in 94 November. And I'd had a couple that had kind of like let up. They're all kind of like drunken disorderlies and whatever. But I remember, because I was friends with the judge. I used to drink with the judge, oddly enough. And so he was laughing when I came up.
That sounds on the up and up.
Yeah, he was like, he's like, "So you assaulted a newspaper box, huh?" I was
Hey, let me
like,
buy a shot. Get this guy around.
he made some jokes. I think it was a New York Times box or something like that. He's like, "Obviously you don't like the liberal media." I was like, "I was just drunk. I'm an idiot. What can I do?" And he had said, "No, seriously." He's like, "If you come in anytime in the next year, I got to give you an immediate automatic 10-day sentence." I was like, 10 days?
What's the most you spend in the clink? A night?
That was 7 hours. I mean, I was in at 2 a.m. and I was released at 9 a.m., went right to court. And luckily, my dad lived a county over, so he came and, had to deal with it.
I know Denny's has been in the clink before. What was the longest
It's the longest I was in,
Yeah, what was
7
the
hours.
longest you were in jail for?
It wasn't that long. It was only like 4 days or so.
4 days,
Well,
really?
so I realized that I was going to spend the night there when they brought me like a blanket and a bed thing and then some shoes. I was like, all right, so I guess I'm staying here then.
What did they serve you for food? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. It was cool. Actually, while I was in the holding cell, I was in the holding cell for, hours, almost a whole day. And so there was this another guy in there who had a crazy story. I guess he did some crime a long time ago, but he was in there because one of his taillights was out and they pulled him over and they saw he had a criminal record. And that's how he was in there. So I was like,
That's that taillight. That's what I'm telling you. If you are riding dirty or you got any kind of warrant, check your taillights.
Make sure your car's on point. if
The
you're gonna be-
taillight
Yes.
brought many a men down.
Absolutely. So I gave him my cornbread. So I was like, oh, hopefully this doesn't become a trend in jail that like people come at me.
That's
Well, I
your
figured I was
right.
in the holding cell and
You give them cornbread, they're gonna take that corn whole next. That's how that works.
Well, they start
man.
coming at you, wanting more stuff and more stuff.
That 60 days in, that show we were all watching. If the guy starts giving away his commissary, his food, all
Means
that,
he's a weak gazelle.
he's a weak gazelle, and they all start to fuck with him.
Everybody starts coming up and they're like, oh, this guy's cool. Hey, maybe I can get some stuff off.
You're looked as a pushover. You get walked all over.
See, I didn't get
all right.
moved into like that area where there was like commissary and a common area. Like it was weird. It was like almost like a military bunk sets that you had to sleep on, and then you go into a larger room and just chill. It was actually very, very boring.
No one tried to mess with you.
No, because jail is a little bit weird, especially up in like like Stewart and stuff. It's very small, so it's not really that threatening.
Yeah, I mean, and there's got to be a difference between jail and then prison.
Oh, a humongous difference.
Prison,
for sure.
you're like, I think you're watching your back all the time.
Jail's usually like I had a bunch of buddies that went in and out of jail over the years, and they, they got used to it. They said, you kind of just chill. It's not that bad.
Institutionalized.
Yeah, it's really not that bad.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
It's just very boring.
It's fucking miserable.
Echoey and boring.
And they do not have any kind of like rush to move you or
Absolutely
to get
not.
you out. I mean, you would think, it's not like customer service where you go into a place and they're trying to get to you. And I mean, you sit there, they do not care. They don't give a rat's ass how long you've been sitting there.
I can see somebody getting arrested for the first time on like a minor crime where they're in jail thinking, why the hell are they not getting to me?
Can I
This
get
is
some
terrible.
service around
Yeah,
here? They do not give a
I
rat's
guarantee
ass
it. There's people like that.
about making sure you're pleased with your stay.
They're forgetting about me.
Well, the guy that was under me in the bunk, I don't know what was wrong with his foot, but he had 2 different sized feet. And my shoes, he asked if I could swap with him. And I was like, yeah, sure. Because I didn't expect to be in there 4 days. But, like, I swapped shoes with him, and then it was terrible. So I asked the guard, I was like, hey, is it possible I can get a different shoe? The guy called me a dick face. So customer service is not a thing there.
Dick face.
He's like,
Hey,
whatever,
officer,
dick
can I
face.
please have some more shoes? Shut up, dick face.
Well, I was like, hey, I traded shoes with this guy, and this one's a little large. I was wondering if I could swap it back or something. And the
Tough
guy,
titty
I
dick
couldn't
face.
believe I asked him that.
Hey, fresh fish over here thinks he's gonna get a new pair of sandals.
I was like,
I'm not here for your comfort.
yeah, they couldn't believe
I
it.
wish I got to see that on video. Fuck you, dick face.
Sheena sent an email, said, Jay Bro, I thought you'd get a kick out of this. The new movie, Fast and the Furious franchise, Fate of the Furious, will probably make Jay Bird poop his pants. Just to let you know, spoiler alert, there is a scene where the cars are electronically hacked and it causes mayhem on the streets. I think you guys should go as a group to see it. 5-star rating. It goes to show you that electronics are slowly but surely taking over the world.
Man, that Fast and the Furious franchise.
Was it 7 or 9 movies somewhere around there?
I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I think it's 7.
they have got a loyal fan base, and usually when sequels go on and on and on,
Yeah.
they turn shitty. It seems like these are almost getting more publicity.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be doing. I mean, there is as action can be. I mean, people who love car chases. The whole thing is what's set up to be.
We're talking about that franchises that have more than 2 or 3 movies that don't suck. I mean, you think about Ocean's 11. To me, Ocean's 12 and 13 were brutal. 13 was okay.
13 was better. 12 was terrible.
I mean, even Star Wars, there's some people that think the prequels ruined the entire.
1 and 2 are weak, man.
One's pretty bad. I watched 1, not that Phantom Menace. Gosh, that movie sucks.
No, it's bad. Yeah,
But-
it gives you no desire to go back and watch it again.
You get your Harry Potter movies that they seem to, all those movies people love.
Yeah, I would say if you're talking about a front to back, pretty solid franchise, it is what you like. To me, I would say, because I like the Lord of the Rings stuff and even the Hobbit movies.
Solid.
All those, I don't think there was one there. They're going, I mean, but they're all kind of the same thing.
But Meet the Fockers, give me the one, give me the first one, Meet the Parents, and the other 2.
brutal.
Weak.
Yeah.
I know people love the second one. Thought it was too. I didn't like it.
Way too over the
Oh,
top.
so over the top.
Typically trilogies, like the first one's the best. The second 2 are kind of, with the exception of like Godfathers and the original Star
It's
Wars.
a super short list where you can name a franchise that has more than 3 movies
That are
at least-
good.
that are all solid.
I mean, The Hangover. I cannot endorse the third installment. The second one I didn't really like, but by the third one,
Yeah. What about the Marvel movies where you've got the Iron Mans and the
Those are
Avengers and all those?
with the Harry Potters, those are different because they're kind of like a whole saga written out already.
and you've got other people that are major players. Like The Hangover, it's the same 4 guys or
Right.
5 guys. They go out, same bullshit happens, and then they're struggling to, oh, what happened? Oh my God, I got a tattoo on my tit. It's like, yeah, it's the same shit.
Yeah.
The first one was awesome. Of the
First one was
Hangover.
awesome.
Let me see here. Got something talking about technology and how it's all scary. Somebody sent me the 60 Minutes from earlier this month, a couple weeks ago. And they were talking about something called brain hacking. And it was this guy who worked in Silicon Valley. He came up with his own company. It was bought by Google. And after working there, his whole thing was he was alarmed by this thing they call brain hacking, where they are engineering your phone, your apps, your social media, trying to purposely get people hooked. It's no secret there. It's what they do in Silicon Valley. And he acknowledged that it was going on. Basically, what it is in this brain hacking is they use a lot of the techniques that you do in Vegas to get people hooked. They kind of give you a reward that releases endorphins. So he said the scariest thing is somebody that actually studies brain neurology and also technology at the same time. And they try to go to your basic carnal needs, fear, belonging, love, things like that. And they try to tap in to keep you on your phone as long as possible. And they say you look at it, and that's what they do. I mean, Snapchat, which is the most popular messaging service for teens, has that feature called Streaks, where I guess if you keep going back day after day, it'll tell you how many rows you sent a message back and forth with somebody. It kind of like rates your popularity. And so kids are giving out their passwords when they got to go on vacation just so they don't blow their streak.
Wow.
And it'll be like, so it brings you back every single day.
It's all about those social media numbers, Denny's. Life doesn't go on if you don't have enough
It really doesn't, man.
I mean, my gosh.
They say the longer you look at the screens, the more data they get about you, the more ads they can sell. And they say, hey, look, basically, Facebook is free for you, but it's not for advertisers. And that's who they're trying to get to. Social media has doubled in its sales in just 2 years to more than $31 billion, and that's making people frantic and crazy to keep people on apps and social media as long as possible. They said, like, the continuous scroll, they do that for a reason, because you could be on that thing forever. I mean, you could start scrolling on your Facebook, and it would never end. Mm-hmm. It would never be like, that's all we got for you. No, never going to end. They say the typical person checks their phone every 15 minutes or less, and that's even without an alert or notification.
I do not check it 15 minutes or less. I don't have my phone on me all the time. I think I really do believe you don't enjoy life. I know I'm one of those weird people that think that, but I know you got a job and you got people, but you don't have to have it every 2 seconds. That's my personal belief.
I know. I agree with you. I think it's a good way to be. For work, I have to be.
And I hear you.
And so during Monday through Friday till I'm done, I'm that way. And then people, I think, get alarmed because they'll text me on Saturday and they'll hear back like maybe not even Saturday.
I mean,
I'm the same way.
When it comes to work, really, you're the only person I have to talk to. Honestly, out of anybody in work related, even our agent, I have to talk to you before anybody. So if you really need to get a hold of me, there's ways I know you can get a hold of me if you really needed to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Denny's?
Yeah, I would go to Denny's probably second.
I mean, with him 90% of the time.
Yeah, we're together a lot. So if Bird gets a message from you, we usually talk it over.
Half the time when you have a call with him, I'm in the room.
Yeah,
just because we're working on something.
I can hear you back there whispering.
Making sideline comments. I can't shut up. It's hard for me.
And this guy who they featured on 60 Minutes was talking about this software he's working on now, because now he realizes how he was a part of, in a sense, enslaving society and getting us to this point where we're relying on our phones and we're not living life. And he's like, this is awful that we get this way. And they're designing things. It literally releases endorphins that make you be like, it's like a fix. I got to check and see what's going on. And they give you rewards. And they even said, like, things like Instagram, they'll withhold likes and they get a pattern for how you use Instagram. And so you're like, no one's liking it. And they'll realize you keep checking more and more and more and more. And then they realize that moment where you finally be like, okay, well, it failed and you won't come back. And that's when they release a ton of likes.
It's like dating somebody that's really fucking with you all the time.
They get your patterns. They know you better than you know yourself. Because they'll be like going, he'll check it. Watch this. He's going to post it and he's going to go back and check his post 3 times in 1 hour.
They even know you're checking.
Yep.
Gosh.
And they will hold those likes, because if you get a bunch at first, you're like, it's doing great. And you never come back. They know you to the point where, like, you keep coming back to check and wait for those likes, and they know when you finally won't come back to check it again, and then they give you a whole bunch of likes to reward you.
Dicks, Snapchat and Instagram.
It's an abusive relationship.
We're like rats in a trap, man, and they're just running all these experiments on us, getting our behavior patterns, and every single person, you're a user number to them, and they know so much about you and your tendencies.
Like Peace Train was talking about this, I thought was absolutely horrifying. When you type something in your computer and then you erase it, you actually do. For example, if I wanted to look something up and I'm like, that's too creepy, but I typed it out but didn't actually send it.
Yeah, it's there.
They still can fucking
key
get
logging,
you. Key logging.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what they're trying to do, this guy now, he's working on software called Onward, which is designed to break users' habits. It'll track a person's activity, and it can recommend that they do something else when they're spending too much time online. And I've really noticed, and if I had somebody tracking my stuff, you're kind of searching for that one thing. You're going, I'm glad I found that. It's like the same reason why people bargain shop or whatever. You're looking for that one little nugget that keeps you there. And I do notice I'm at the point of diminishing returns where I'm spending a lot more time, and that's where you got to catch yourself. You almost need someone to be like going, hey, man, you've been on here for 10 minutes, and you haven't found another thing. Maybe it's time to punt, go do something else.
Yeah, if you are, for example, if you're looking for stuff for the show, some prep or some stuff, and you're on a site and you're on there for 20 minutes and you got nothing, you're like, damn it, this sucks.
Well, you got that fear of missing out, and that's what it is for me with the show. I'm afraid I'm going to miss something and be like going, that's what's going to be the great thing we're going to do tomorrow. And so I stay on there. There's going to be an event that I missed to talk about, so I'm looking everywhere. But then eventually I'm like, well, okay, you've been on here. If you haven't found it by now, it ain't worth finding. But that's what that app is supposed to be. But he said is they've submitted stuff like that to Apple and the iTunes store. They're like, we're not putting that up. Yeah. You want us to put up something that's telling people to get off their apps and use Apple less? Screw you. We're never going to put it. So he said that stuff will never make it to the mainstream because it's trying to get you off their stuff faster. I think the only way they're trying to compromise is to make your searches more enjoyable. So the time you spend on there is more rewarding, because I could probably map my time on my social media and be like going, 20% of that time was worthwhile. The other 80% was crap and I wasn't doing anything.
Oh, yeah. There's just too much stuff out there now. Even if I'm picking a Netflix movie, I literally will spend 45 minutes looking through all the movies. Yeah. And then I'll settle on something I've already seen.
Happened to me last night. I'm trying to go to bed. I'm going to try to watch something new. I was on Netflix for 30 minutes. And I ended up going to bed watching The Office for the 11th time.
That's what always happens.
It's weird. I was doing the same thing too, just trying to find something. And, oh man, you want to talk about?
It's almost like you've gotten too picky. People have gotten too picky.
I have.
You have to. They say that with porn too. People get too picky. There's just too much out there. It's not like the 80s.
Well, you don't want to commit.
You have one tape, and you're like, all right, this is all I got. Now it's literally anything you want, and people are becoming picky with everything.
Oh, yeah.
I was probably browsing 30 minutes through documentaries on Netflix on Sunday. I finally committed to something about the JFK thing.
And you didn't like it. 10 minutes in, you're like, oh, this sucks.
No, because you boiled it down at the end. I watched a 50-minute documentary on the whole thing, and it could have been like, I'm like, hey, give me the whole thing. Like, no. It really was one shooter. It was Lee Harvey Oswald, and it's like they've got all the ballistics proof.
I spent 40 minutes trying to find this awesome nature documentary. I wanted to go to bed to a nice nature documentary. I finally found one. Oh, this is going to be cool. 3 minutes in, I'm like, this sucks, man. Went back to The Office.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Yeah, it was so bad. I wound up watching a documentary on Putin in French.
Yeah, I have watched some.
I read 40 minutes of subtitles.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell am I doing,
man?
man?
You go to my Netflix queue, there's seriously like 30 documentaries that are only 15 minutes into it.
Yep.
What am I doing, man? Crazy stuff. All right. Thank y'all for locking in. Want to leave us a comment? You can. Mail at kvjshow.com. Try to get to you coming up here in further days on the After the Show podcast. Don't forget to go check out Bud's Chicken and Seafood.
Yeah, Denny's, why don't you give the nice plug for Bud's Chicken and Seafood? You become a big fan. Tell the people about it.
Go there and try their crab cakes. I had them recently. They were very good. They go good with the bird sauce.
Yeah, I don't know if the crab cakes are available right now. Damn it, Denny's.
Well, next year, definitely check those out because they're awesome. I think the cod that rocks your bod is all year round.
The cod that rocks your bod all year long.
Go for that one.
All year long. All righty. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems, ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.